Hey guys, welcome back to Idaho Fabricator. I'm Steven, and today we're going to look at the brakes on my truck. I've been trying to figure it out. Gosh, there's just so much to think about. And I wanted to do a video today to show you what I've been thinking about, get your ideas on a few questions that I have, and yeah, so let's get started, huh? All right, so let me show you what I've got going on. Now, this is just a standard double flare brake fitting, okay? And this is steel tubing, and it would work, it would be okay, but I want to do stainless steel tubing, okay? So stainless steel doesn't like to double flare. So when they double flare, if you don't already know, they flare it out and then they flare it back in, so that when this goes against when you screw this into the wheel cylinder or whatever, it actually crushes this seat a little bit, and that's what makes the seal, okay? On an AN fitting, which is a single flare, and this is an AN, this is a piece of stainless that I flared, that's 37 degrees, all right? And it's just one flare. The way it works is you have this tube sleeve that goes on there that supports the back of the flare, and then your tubing nut goes on like that, and then it would just thread into your AN fitting, and this taper here and the taper on that would seat and make a nice seal, okay? And so everything here is stainless steel. I like the looks of it. I might even shine up the line a little bit just to make it look cool. But so I'm going with AN fittings, and because I'm going with AN fittings, I had to get a couple of things. First thing I had to get was this bender here, and it's made by, shine it in on there. It's made by Imperial, and it's made in the USA, which is cool. And this bender, what I like about it is, if you can read those marks there, it goes all the way to 180 degrees bend. So you can bend your tube, do a complete loop in it, which is really neat. And the way you can do it is this piece slides out of the way. This is the hook that holds the tubing. And so you would put the tubing in, and then you can just roll it over. There's 45, there's 90, 135, and 180. And then to get the tubing out, you just flip this out of the way and lift it out of the bender. So you're going to need a good bender to do stainless. You're going to need a 37 degree flaring tool. This is by Rigid, and it's a good unit, does a great job. And let's see, what else you can need. And you're going to need a tubing straightener. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen one of these before, but they're pretty cool. And when you get your tubing, it's going to come, it's going to come in a coil, all coiled up. It's about, I don't know, that big around or something. So what you do is you straighten it out best you can, and then you stick it in this roller here, and you adjust the tension until you get it just right, and then you just turn it with your fingers back and forth, and in a very short amount of time, this rascal is, see, straight as an arrow. So pretty cool. And I got this one because it goes all the way to 1/2 inch. So it'll work for fuel lines, brake lines, everything you got. So you're gonna need a tubing straightener, and just storing that there so I don't dent it or bend it. So let me show you what I've got in the back, get your thoughts on that, and let me get my part here. Where is it? Here it is. All right, so come on underneath the truck. I'll show you what's going on under here. So there's two ways that I could run the brakes on this truck. One way is I could connect the hard line to this fitting here, and this is an AN adapter that goes 3/8-24 and adapts to -3 AN fitting, and it would run along the frame or along the axle housing. It would come up probably to a T somewhere in here, and it would continue on over and hook to this other fitting here on this end, And then at that T position, wherever it is, you'd have a piece of rubber hose that would go up to the frame somewhere. And then from the frame, you go over to the side of your frame and all the way to the front of the vehicle. Okay, that's one way. I don't like the idea of that well, I think it looks okay, but I've got my exhaust that's going to be coming over here, and I think it's going to be kind of tight, and my coils are here, and I just don't know if I'm going to have the, right amount of clearance to, run the tubing that way. So I'm going to do it a different way. Let me show you. Oops, I got the wrong part. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one. So I'm going to thread a piece of flex stainless line onto this fitting here. Okay. And then this is a T adapter. Okay, and then this little metal piece is a tab that I made. And I'll weld that to the frame. Probably something like that. If you can see that okay. This one's going to go to the front, to the master cylinder. This one is going to go over here and then along this cross member right here, all the way to the other side. And the same kind of a setup as this side, only instead of a T, I'll have a 90-degree bend. So on this side, it'll just get welded to the frame like that. And then this one will go down to this wheel cylinder, and then this one will go across the cross member to the other side. So that's the way I'm going to do that. I think it's going to look pretty cool. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with running along the axle housing, but I don't know. You got to kind of think about clearance for exhaust and other things. And these coil springs on these coilovers are pretty close to the axle housing. There's maybe, I don't know, half an inch of clearance or something. So I just figured it would be better to do it with a flex line on each end. So that's that. And then the question I have for you guys is, this is what's called an adjustable proportioning valve. And I'm going to use this instead of just a fixed proportioning valve. They're usually mounted under your master cylinder. And what they do is they allow 60% braking to the front, 40% to the rear. And they also have a little check ball in there. So if you lose your rear brakes or lose your front brakes, the little check ball moves to this with a piston, moves to the side, and it trips a little warning light on your dash. And I'm not going to bother with the little warning light. One thing I can tell you is when I've lost brakes on vehicles, you pretty much know because your foot goes to the floor. So I don't need a warning light to know that. I can tell. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I'm going to use an adjustable proportioning valve so that I can fine tune how much braking force I want to the back versus the front, so I don't get the back tires locking up all the time. So here's my question for you guys. Now, this is a long ways to go with line. From back here, through here, all the way to the front, and then up to the master cylinder. So I think it's a good idea to have a union somewhere in that line so that it doesn't have to be so long and cumbersome. So let me know what you think about this idea. I could mount it maybe like this. This one would go to the master cylinder. This one would come through and hook in here. I could mount it sideways with a bracket. Okay, something like that. Or I could just run the line through here and, put it, here. Ouch. Ooh, that didn't feel good. Put it here or maybe here. I'm not sure yet. I don't want the line too long, because I want to be able to bend it and fit it and get it just right. And if I'm trying to do a 12-foot long piece of brake line, that's going to be a tough one to do. So I could put the thing here, but I'm kind of leaning toward back here somewhere. So Let me know what you think about that. I could also mount this up by the master cylinder if I wanted to. Okay? Make a little bracket and hang it off the master cylinder. So I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. All right, let me show you what's going on in the front. That is a little different. Oops. So on the front, you've got, this is called a banjo fitting, okay? And then on this caliper, if it's not too tight, yeah, there we go. I'll unscrew this. And I think they call this a 10 millimeter or 3/8 banjo fitting. And it's pretty cool. So here's the bolt. And it's got 2 copper washers and then a hole there for the brake fluid. So one washer goes on top like that. And then the other washer goes like that. And that makes a seal. And then this can go anywhere in that circle. So when I first did this, let me find the spot here. There it is. Get that in there. Come on, baby. Okay, so when I was first playing around with this, trying to figure out what the perfect place to have it was, I thought I would put it, you know, like here, okay? But the problem was that when I turned the wheel, I hope you can see this, maybe go on the other, they can see it better. When I turned the wheel, oh man, I can't even turn that. When I turn the wheel, this coil ends up being in this hose ends up being in the where the spring is going to be for the front suspension. So, and it didn't really matter which way I went; it was just always going to be in the way. So, I had this thought, and here's what I ended up deciding to do: I put on this side of the caliper, all right, and then this would mount here, and no matter which way I turn this, it doesn't get in the way, even when it's all the way over this way, it still clears the spring. So I'm liking that. I think that's the way to go. So you will have to, when you're working on your vehicles and figuring this stuff out, you're going to have to find the sweet spot where your line doesn't interfere with anything. It doesn't hit your upper and lower control arms. It doesn't rub on the tire. When I was doing it on the other side of the caliper, it would rub on the tire when I went this way. Or no, when I went this way. It would hit the tire, and then this way, it would hit the coilover spring in there. So I think that's the way to go. So, oh, I got to show you something up above. So let me lower the truck down. On the master cylinder, this is just a standard GM Corvette style master cylinder. This fitting back here is 9/16 by 18 threads, and this one is 1/2 inch by 20. And you're going to need an adapter to convert. This is your standard double flare, 45-degree double flare. So on this end of the fitting, it makes a seal in there on that 45 flare and converts this over to an AN3 thread. Okay? So the other thought was I could make a bracket and put this proportioning valve up here, maybe underneath the master cylinder like that, or like that. I don't really want to put it on the firewall. I'm kind of thinking down below would be better, but let me know what you guys think. What would be the best way so it looks the coolest? I don't know. It's I guess that's the fun of doing this stuff, is figuring out what's going to look the best for your application. I did want to mention something that that I never knew until I started doing this. If you're wondering what -3 stands for on brake lines, -3 means 3/16 of an inch. Okay, so -4 is a quarter inch, -5 is 5/16, -6 is 3/8. 3/8? Yeah, 3/8. So anyway, it's not as complicated as you think. So this is for 3/16 brake line, -3. So it took me a while to figure that out, but now I know, and now you know. Let's see. I think that's. Look over here real quick and see if I've covered anything. Yeah, I'll show you what I'm gonna attach the lines to the frame with. They come with these nice little, I think they're 832 or threaded deals, and I'll just drill holes and tap the frame and run these along to hold the. Doesn't say on there, single line clamps. Yeah, it says warning. It's probably a California thing. Anyway, yeah, so this is how I'm going to attach those lines. It's going to look pretty nice. So, whew, that's all I got for you today, guys. Just a quick update on what I've been doing, what I've been kind of like wrestling with, figuring out how I want to approach this. And next time we get together, we're going to start doing some bending and running the lines, and then after that, onto the fuel system, and we're just going to keep chugging along until we're doing smoky burnouts. So thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for the subscriptions and the likes and shares. I really appreciate it. Be safe in the shop, and I'll see you next time. Idaho Fabricator.